Hello students, today we shall be taking up the Browning version by Terence Rattigan. This has been taken from your class 11 NCERT book Hornbill. The Agamemnon is a Greek play, children, which was written by Aeschylus, and it serves as a prop in the Browning version. Now, why are we talking of Agamemnon and Aeschylus? Yes, it is an important question which we are going to answer very shortly. Agamemnon was the king of Mycenae. After 10 years of Trojan War, he meets his wife. Now, before going to the war, he had sacrificed his daughter to the gods to win the war, and he is coming back after 10 years. Clytemnestra is his wife, and she has been planning his murder. Why? Because she wants to take revenge for her daughter. So Clytemnestra does not want to welcome her husband when he comes back after winning the war after 10 years. In fact, she has been planning to murder him with Agamemnon's cousin, who is Aegisthus. Now, why does Aegisthus want to kill Agamemnon? Agamemnon's cousin and the sole survivor of a dispossessed branch of family, Aegisthus wants to kill Agamemnon because Agamemnon's father, Atreus, had killed and fed his brothers, Aegisthus's brothers, to Aegisthus' father, Thyestes. So obviously there is a definite reason for them to get together and kill Agamemnon, Clytemnestra and Aegisthus. Now, why are we telling you all this? Because the Agamemnon, this Greek play which was written by Aeschylus, it serves as a prop in the Browning version. It is the text that Andrew Crocker Harris has his pupil John Taplow work on, laboriously translating its ancient Greek line by line into English. Now, Robert Browning was an English poet and playwright whose dramatic monologues put him high among the Victorian poets. Robert Browning. Why are we talking of Robert Browning here? Yes, Robert Browning is the person who has translated this Greek tragedy Agamemnon into English. And in the Browning version, that is your Terence Rattigan's 1948 play, or one of those several film adaptations also, you will see that a pupil, that is John Taplow, makes a parting present to his teacher of an inscribed copy of Browning's translation of the Agamemnon. Now let us connect the two. The two refers to the Greek play Agamemnon, or you can also say the English translation of the Agamemnon. It is basically the same because the essence and the play itself is same, only the translation is different. That the original one is in Greek and the translated one is in English. Okay. So apart from being a prop, another symbolic function of the Agamemnon that stems from the content of the classical Greek play itself is that the tragedy relates the murder of Agamemnon by his wife Clytemnestra, thus mirroring the action of the Browning version. How so? Though no actual murder takes place in Rattigan's play, Millie does seek to kill off any late blooming chance of happiness that her husband has left. So the couple in the Browning version can be seen as a modern version of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra as expression of the ancient story in the emotionally repressed environment of an English public school. Now this play, the Browning version, which is written by Terence Rattigan, was first performed in 1948 in London, and it is a translation of Robert Browning's play and is therefore called a version as the setting is a school. Okay, so the significance of the title, the Browning version, is that it is the translation of the play by Robert Browning, and it is basically used throughout Rattigan's drama. Now let us see who was Terence Rattigan. Sir Terence Mervyn Rattigan was a British dramatist and screenwriter, and his plays are typically set in an upper middle class background. These are some of the plays that he has written, and his themes basically centered on issues of failed relationships, world of repression and reticence. Now, whenever we have a play, we concentrate on the characters, and character sketches, children, from exams point of view, are definitely important. In your second term, mainly, you are required to write descriptive answers, not MCQs anymore, at least in the literature section. That is how it is going to be. So it is vital that you understand the characters nicely. Okay. So as you can see, I have taken these clippings. These images have been taken from 1951 movie, the Browning version, the black and white one. So Taplow and Andrew Crocker Harris, and there you can see Millie, and on her left you can see Frank. Okay. Now let us start with John Taplow. John Taplow was a 16-year-old boy who is in lower fifth form in a public school. He wants to specialize in science. So he is a sincere, hardworking student. He is an obedient student as he followed his master Andrew Crocker Harris's instruction, and he comes to do the extra work which is given to him even on the last day of his school. He is a keen observer. While talking of Mr. Harris, he points out at a few important things. For example, when he confidently tells Mr. Frank that his master, Mr. Crocker Harris, is not a sadist like one or two of the others. He understands his teacher very well, and this is clear when he says that Mr. Harris is all shriveled up like a nut and he seems to hate people who like him. Now, even though he mimics his teacher, Mr. Crocker Harris, he respects and even admires him. Taplow's character is endowed with various positive traits. He is a sincere student, he is an obedient student, and he is fond of mimicking his favorite teacher, but at the same time, he admires and likes him a lot. Now, let us come to Andrew Crocker Harris. He is a middle-aged man who teaches Latin and Greek. He is a strict disciplinarian who maintains distance with his students. Being sincere and firm, he has never announced the result to the students before its official announcement. Though some teachers are doing that, he has never done that. He is not a sadist and seems to hate people who like him. Seems to hate people to like him, basically. He is a mature person who does not feel flattered when students admire him. He does not show or expect any favors from others, and therefore he is impartial. Professionally speaking, he is a wonderful teacher. He follows all the rules and regulations of the school. Now let us come to Frank. Mr. Frank is a young master. He is certainly not the ideal master though. Well, when I'm talking of the character sketch, this is my understanding of the characters. One or two points here and there, of course, can be there, children. In when you are writing answers, you can think of more points or lesser points. That's all right. He's certainly not the ideal master. He tries and extracts information about Mr. Crocker Harris from this 16-year-old student, John Taplow. In fact, he tries to provoke Taplow by saying, when he sees him that he has to stay back on the last day of school, he tries to provoke him by saying, extra work on the last day of the school. He says this in the beginning of the play, if you remember. And when Taplow mimics Mr. Crocker Harris, he, does not admonish him. In fact, he encourages him. So apparently, Frank derives malicious pleasure from all these things, and it is evident from his behavior that he dislikes Mr. Andrew Crocker Harris. And so because of this professional rivalry, as I call it, he doesn't mind sowing seeds of malice, prejudice, and even disobedience in the minds of students against Mr. Crocker Harris. So he seems to be a clever or maybe a cunning master who provokes students to make scathing remarks against Crocker Harris. Okay. So these were the three main characters that I have written about and told you about. Now these are some of the words which I have taken from the play, which I feel might be difficult to understand. So remove refers to the result or a division in a school. Slackers, lazy and unmotivated students. Muck means something which is of no practical good. Outright is something which is straight away, evidently, as it appears. Kept in, grounded, cut, escape. Sadist, one who gets pleasure in inflicting pain on others. Shriveled up, who has no feelings or all squeezed up. Frantically, something which is frantically is when you are doing something in a restless manner or in a mad manner. Cape is a loose piece of clothing without sleeves. Throaty refers to heavy. Gone too far, when you have crossed the limit. Got carried away, when you are moved because of an emotional appeal. Now the most important part, and that is that we are going to enact the play in our respective classrooms, and I'm just going to help you in letting you understand the excerpt at a glance in simpler language. Okay, so I'll be just sequentially telling you about the events that are happening in this particular excerpt, and you all are going to enact this in your respective classrooms. Okay, now, the play starts with Taplow, who is a student of Mr. Crocker Harris, and he has been called to do extra work. When he is waiting there, he realizes the teacher is not there, and it is there that he meets Mr. Frank, who is a science teacher. Mr. Frank speaks to him. He asks him a few questions, and he expresses his dissatisfaction that Mr. Crocker Harris does not tell the result like other masters. Who expresses the dissatisfaction? Taplow. Okay. And Taplow also finds science more exciting than the Greek tragedy, the Agamemnon, which he calls a muck. Okay. And then, in this process, in this conversation, Frank also confesses and comments on a few things. So Frank admits that, yes, I tell the result to students before it is officially announced by the headmaster. He calls Taplow's coming to school for extra work his bad luck. He tries to provoke him there. He admits that he does not like the science that he teaches. And it is then, when he is provoked, Taplow mimics Mr. Crocker Harris. He even calls him, he gets carried away and he calls him a few things which he later realizes he should not have. So Frank asks him to mimic him again and suggests to him to leave, as Mr. Crocker Harris is 10 minutes late. So Frank, wants to know basically from Taplow why is the class afraid of Mr. Crocker Harris, and he asks him if Mr. Crocker Harris beats his students. So somehow, somewhere we feel that this particular master is jealous of Mr. Crocker Harris. So he feels envious of Crocker Harris because there is a boy Taplow here right in front of him who openly admits that yes, he likes him. And in the end, he is almost caught, talking about Crocker Harris. But then when he sees Millie, who is Millie? Millie is the wife of Mr. Crocker Harris, and he feels relieved that he sees her. So Millie Crocker Harris informs Taplow that her husband is held up at Bursar's and suggests to him to go away. So Taplow hesitates. He does not want to leave without meeting his teacher. But she tells him to run away for a quarter of an hour and take the prescription. She gives her a prescription and she tells him to take it to the chemist and get it made up. So she assures him that she would take the blame in case Crocker Harris comes in the meantime. And then in the end, Taplow is shown leaving and he goes off to the chemist. Now, these are my final comments, children. Your final comments can vary and should vary. So, through this excerpt, the author wants to highlight the role of a teacher in a student's life. A clear comparison is drawn between Mr. Crocker Harris and Mr. Frank. Even though Mr. Crocker Harris is known for his discipline and strictness towards students, he is liked by some of his pupils like John Taplow. And teachers, children, are and will continue to be the fountainhead of enduring human values like honesty, quest for knowledge, discipline, and moral values. Okay, so Socrates was the one who said that I cannot teach anybody anything, I can only make them think. In fact, that is one of the most difficult things, and he said it so in such a simple way. A great teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. So that was my take from this particular excerpt. Please do read the Browning version, the complete play. Those of you who want to follow or want to take up literature in your graduation, and you can also see the movie, the Browning version, and it's a beautiful movie, so you can see that. I hope you understood. I was able to help you in understanding the Browning version better, and please enact this in your schools, in your classrooms, and enjoy the play. Thank you so much for watching.